Okay, without much ado, let us invite Brother Dave for part 2 of CBI. Okay, over to you, Brother Dave.
All right, good morning, Shifu, brothers and sisters. I'm Brother Dave. Today I will be sort of like emceeing or introduce the sharers, and then I also included a short story at the end. Without further ado, I'll just introduce the first sharer for today. So this is SisLaySim. SisLaySim is Hen Zibei, a very compassionate Pusa, a super role model for me as well. She's very dedicated to help refugees in the Setapa area. Setapa area is in KL. It's primarily inhabited by the Somalian refugees. SisLaySim has demonstrated that she always do extra effort which can change the outcome of refugees. Yeah. So she's here to share a story which has touched her deeply. Yeah. So I'll just pass the mic to SisLaySim.
Okay, thank you, Brother Dave, for the introduction. Good morning, Abad Sifu, Brother Joe, and all brothers and sisters. I'm LaySim from Malaysia. Thank you, the Singapore team for the great Dharma teaching. And now I'm going to share Dharma in action. Okay, today I'm going to share a refugee story which happened on Chinese New Year Eve. And eventually it turned out to be a borderless great love that revolves around two refugees family from Somalia and Syria. Next. Both the sisters are single parents. On the left side is Sister Khatijah from Somalia. And on the right side is Sister Amne from Syria. Okay, Khatijah has been in Malaysia for the last 10 years, and she has 2 children, and she get connected with Tzu Chi through UNHCR. And because of MCO, she lost her babysitting job, and so she lost her source of income. So initially, the daughter has to stop going to school, and subsequently, the family was evicted due to rental arrears. Okay, and she was so fortunate to have a friend who offered her a temporary shelter. And the house is actually full of Somalian men, all men, you know. Even the living hall is occupied. So they can only offer her the balcony as a temporary shelter. She actually stayed there for, I think, 3-4 weeks. And then for Sister Amne, she actually came to Malaysia 3 years ago with her 4 children. And her only wish is just to ensure that the children will get a good education. And with refugee status, she's very hopeful for resettlement to a third country. The family actually went for several interviews, but has not been successful until this moment to get the resettlement. And she was quite devastated. And at one time, she even contemplated of returning back to Syria, but she just couldn't afford the fare. So you know, that idea dies off somehow. Okay, next. Okay, this is how the great love story goes. When Khatijah was again the second time evicted by the new landlord. Okay, on Chinese New Year Eve, I received an SOS message from Sister Khatijah. The message goes like this. She said, I was evicted by the landlord yesterday. That means the day before Chinese New Year Eve. And then with nowhere to go, she actually slept in the garden for that night. Okay, and then on Chinese New Year Eve, she immediately went to UNHCR to seek for help. But coincidentally, you know, it was Chinese New Year Eve and the UNHCR closed. And she wanted to sleep outside the office, you know, but the security guard chased her away because the security guard said the UN office is going to close for 5 days, you know. So he won't allow him to allow her to stay there. So she asked me, you know, what should I do tonight, you know. I actually only communicated with Khatijah once through the phone because that time her application for cash from UN was approved. So I'm supposed to arrange for the distribution. But because at that time, she actually moved away from the balcony to a new place. So since another sister is helping that area, so I actually passed her case to the other sister to distribute the cash lah. But and I have not seen her in person, you know. But somehow she has faith in Tzu Chi that, you know, Tzu Chi will help her, you know. And there are many volunteers number in her phone, but it's just the affinity that she texts me on that night, you know. Okay, this is the photo that Khatijah sent me on the New Year's Eve of her actual location. It was really heartbreaking for me to see 3 of them sitting at the roadside, hopeless and exhausted now. So immediately I asked her, I said, do you have any friends? And she said that the only friend she has is the man who offered her the balcony. So I asked her, can you contact your Somalian community leader or not? Because I know they have a community leader. And what shocked me is she said the community leader is the one who shouted and chased her out from the house. Because actually UN actually contacted the community leader to find her a place, a cheaper place. But the community leader, the renter is find her a place that a renter that she couldn't afford lah. So she was arguing over the renter, and then the community leader asked her to leave. So so fearing for their safety, I quickly contacted the nearby Somalian families and praying hard that someone will offer them a temporary shelter lah. So I called a few, but I failed. You know? I couldn't get anyone who can accept them. And she called me about 1 hour later and asked me if I have found a place. I said no, and she said okay. You know, that was about 10 p.m. at night. You know, it was so painful for me to say no, but deep inside my heart, I was thinking if I could not find her a place, I said tonight, am I able going? I know, can I sleep well? Not tonight, you know, knowing that someone is sleeping in the garden or somewhere, you know. Okay, living with no choice, I actually courageously reached out to a Syrian family. So this sister Amne. So I told her about this Khatijah's condition, and I told her even living hall would be good enough, you know. And to my surprise, she just accepted without thinking twice, you know. I really can't thank her enough, you know. And I reassure her that I would check on the health condition of the Somalian families because COVID was quite bad also at the time, you know. And this sister Amne, her reply really touched me deeply. She said, we are all refugees, you know. I cannot bear to see them sleeping in the garden. And I trust Tzu Chi. He said, I will get my son to bring them up. At that moment, all my worries were gone. I'm so thankful to this extraordinary sister. And this sister, Amne, she actually could not speak English. So she get her son, Walid, to contact Khatijah, you know. And then after a while, Khatijah actually called me. She said she's not going. I said, why? You know, and she told me that because it was a guy who contacted her, and she felt unsafe. So I told her, no, this is a single parents. That is the son. You know, they have 4 children. You know, so after that she accepted, and then she went. You know, the son brought them in, and immediately she walked into the home. She messaged me. She said, you know, she was so glad, you know, the family actually received her with open arms, you know. So I kept reminding her to be nice and good, to you know, to get along well. So even though MCO has restricted our interactions with refugees, we only talk to them through phones. But at that moment, I really feel that, you know, we have been able to build up that relationship of trust and sincere love, you know, via technology. Okay, so this is the Syrian 16-year-old son, the Walid. He was so kind to give up his room for them, you know, our previous place. He told me that he can't bear to see Khatijah's family sleeping in the living hall, as he said there will be too much disturbance with people walking in and out, you know. And he said that he wants them to rest well after the previous night's traumatic experience, you know. I was really touched by his gesture. Okay, and Sister Amne's life has not been easy because she's also applying to UNHCR for help. So and his eldest son, actually give up the college entrance exam and work in restaurant to support the family. And I felt that I owe it to her for accepting Sister Khatijah, and I wanted to personally thank her. You know, so even though it was a Chinese New Year day, I also make a trip to get some groceries, you know, hoping to ease some of her burden. Okay, next. Entering the home, I'm so glad to see that they got along really well, you know, and the children were like good friends, you know. And Sister Amne said, sometimes people help me, sometimes I help others. That is life. Simple words, but to me it's full of wisdom. Okay, next. Okay, Khatijah shared her story on how she was evicted twice, you know, and the 6-year-old Somalian boy said he was so scared, you know, and sad, you know, when they have to sleep in the garden on that day, and now he feel, you know, he said he's safe, and I can see the smile on his face. Okay, next. And Khatijah said that she is very grateful for the help that come to her at the right time. She said it was a miracle, and she never thought that a total stranger could come forward to give her a helping hand. And she felt at ease and not lonely and scared as before. Okay, next. Among the children, there's really no barriers, you know, they interact happily among themselves. Okay, next. And they communicate well with each other, you know, through English, using English. Okay, next. Next. Okay, this boy is, previous please. This the boy is actually the Syrian mother's eldest son. He gave up his study to work in restaurant, and he said jobs are really hard to find, and he's hopeful for a bicycle so that he can look for a job further from his house. He said without a job, I may be seeing them next on the street, you know. It was so painful for me to hear that, you know, but I just quietly kept that request in mind. And when I visited them on Chinese New Year Day, Khatijah actually told me that he already found a new place, and he will be moving out on the same day. So though living under deprived condition, Sister Amne actually prepared 2 recycle bags full of groceries and kitchen utensils for her to bring along when she leaves, you know. I'm so thankful she is truly a role model of someone who is poor, but the heart is so rich, you know. So before Khatijah leaves, Sister Amne actually prepared a simple vegetarian meal to share with them, you know. Okay, next. Okay, dining table is just a piece of tablecloth lying out on the floor, you know. That's how simple their life is. Okay, next. Okay, while having lunch, actually Walid shared with me the lives of refugees in Malaysia. He said that life in Syria may be unsafe, but they can live with dignity. But life in Malaysia is safe, but there are so much life challenges that come with it. And refugees were not allowed to work legally in Malaysia, and at times they risk being caught by authorities, and maybe their salary will just have to use to settle the fine, you know. He said he felt that life is meaningless, you know. He only hoped for a resettlement. It is very sad to hear that, but that is the reality they have to face. Okay, next. And because of this affinity, I get to know their predicament, you know. So I'm ever willing to help them with groceries whenever they need. Okay, next. Whenever there are people who donated a grocery, I will always think of them first, you know. See, I send groceries to Khatijah, you know. The smiling face is actually the best present I can get, you know. Okay, next. Next. Okay, so I actually go and source for a bicycle for him so that, you know, he can venture further to find jobs, you know. And Brother Benjamin is also so kind, you know, bringing more smiles to refugees, you know, by refurbished, recycle computer for their online study. Okay. And last month, through the affinity with Sister Chinian, actually there is one good Samaritan who contacted me and offered me 100 bags of rice to be distributed, to be given to the refugees, you know. I was in total shock, you know, wondering how am I going to deliver the 100 bags of rice, you know. So in the end, I actually worked out with the refugees to come up with a list of groceries that they really need, you know. And some refugees feedback, you know, really basic, you know, they say they need vegetables, you know. I mean, it's so basic, but they just don't have the money to buy, you know. And some request for Arabic groceries. So when I feedback to this Good Samaritan, he even offered to give them a little cash, you know, so they can really get what they need. I was so overwhelmed by his kind gesture. And he actually planned to come along with me for the distribution, but because of his busy schedule, he could not make it. But there's so much lessons learned, you know, from the distribution for me. Okay, next. So my lesson with the refugees, I'm just thinking we just have to seize opportunity. You know? When there's a will, there's a way. So we don't say no to them, you know, and there are ever willing, so many volunteers and people who are willing to help, you know. So just let us be each other's benefactor. Okay, next. I would like to end my sharing with this quote from Dr. Ghazali. He's our Muslim Tima doctor. He said that kindness is something that you cannot give away. It will find its way back to you sooner or later. So do good and keep on doing. With that, I thank everyone for listening. Amitofo.
Thanks, SisLaySim, for the wonderful sharing. Remembering this case, I was also part of it. I helped SisLaySim in working out the report interview. So if you understand the UNHCR process, so first we have to do a phone call assessment of the case, and then only we send volunteers to the field to disperse the cash. Yeah. So this is quite a complex case as well, because it's a single mother. So as you all know, a single mother, they have the predicament of cannot find job because they have to look for their children at home, and then they don't have their husband anymore. There's no breadwinner in the family. So what happens is no income, and then they cannot pay their rent, and then they have to rely on the mercy of their housemates or Good Samaritan. Some single mothers have to resort into like survival sex just to ensure their children are fed. Some has to go to the streets and beg for food. Yeah, so it's painful to watch. Yeah, single mothers. So luckily, this case is approved, and then UNHCR has come in with the financial assistance, and SisLaySim has taken extra effort to look after this refugee. So if we still have time left, maybe I can share a quick one. I was actually supposed, this session actually is supposed to be another sister who shared about her experience, but she cannot make it. So I'm taking her slot just to share a few words here on a case that I did, I think 2020. So this is just a short story. And actually, SisLaySim was also involved in this case as well. So I thought it would be fine to put it here. So once again, I'm doing the phone call assessment work. So LVAT is the short term for the tool that we use to do this interview. So the POC, the person of concern. So this is Marvita. So Marvita is from Philippines. Yeah? Her husband is from Congo. They met in Philippines, they got married, and then they fled to Malaysia in 2013 due to the violence in Philippines. If you know which part of it, I think it's the southern Philippines where they had a lot of violence and kidnappings and such. So the family flee to Malaysia in 2013, and then they got their refugee status. So this is quite a big family, 7 people, husband and wife, and then 5 children. The main concern is the husband who is sick, having liver cirrhosis. So liver cirrhosis, if you're not familiar with the medical thing, this is more like an end stage liver scarring. It's in the tissue. And then this is more like caused by hepatitis B or heavy alcoholism. Yeah. So this is quite a problem because the husband cannot go to work. Yeah. He stays at home every day. So the wife has to be the breadwinner. What does she do? She works in the school canteen, yeah, where her her children is attending school. And then that's like 8 hours a day. And then after that, she goes to the nearby massage parlor for a part-time job. So she works like 8 plus 4 hours. It's like 12 hours a day just to feed this big family. Yeah. And then due to COVID-19 pandemic, she requires assistance. Why? Because the school has to shut down, and then the massage center has to also shut down. And there's no income, and then no one is working. And then that's where the Tzu Chi volunteers come in. I did the phone call assessment, and then SisLaySim was there to hand the cash. If you look at this chat message that I screenshot, look at how grateful she is when she received the news. She said, hello, someone called me, and then they want to come in my house to see the place. I said, oh, that's good news. I think it's from the Tzu Chi volunteers. Yeah. Once they confirm your address, they will come in and hand you the cash. She was so happy. Oh my God, thank you so much. And then she thought I was actually Miss LaySim. Yeah? So she said, hi, Miss LaySim. Thank you so much for the help. As she snapshot the money she received. I can't remember the amount, but I think it's more than enough for the time. She mentioned, at long last, I can go in the market. May God bless you more and more. So sometimes the refugees also exhibit this grateful, sincere heart that knows how to thank and be grateful because we come in at the right time. This is at the most crucial need, which CBI functions to do. Yeah? CBI, it's not like a long-term cash assistance where we look for them for 10 years or so. It's a very targeted timeline, a short one, to come in at the most crucial time. And then after the pandemic, after the movement control order has been lifted, they can go back to work, and that's how they stand on their own. But the story doesn't end here. It's about to get even uglier. So what happened is earlier this year, because all of this happened in 2020. So in 2021, earlier this year, I got into a phone call with this POC. What happened was that the husband sexually assaulted 2 daughters while Marvita was away for work, because she was away for 12 hours a day. So she was very heartbroken. She was enraged. She was in despair. Words cannot describe it because I'm not a mother. I haven't personally, but I try to be empathetic. I think someone would go mad if this happened. So a police report was made. Then the husband left the house. Now Marvita is even worried if the daughters might get pregnant. So again, she called for help because just, I think, was it last month? Last month we had another lockdown in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur specifically, and then she's again out of work. She cannot go to the school. She cannot go to the massage center. So this is when again Tzu Chi volunteers come in very handy. So CBI, I did the interview, and then but this is still a work in progress. We're still waiting to see if this case is approved or not. But the important thing here is that I felt that Marvita, this person of concern, she has a very strong heart. She is still capable of standing on her own. And she has even already made plans. Well, she said once the movement control order has been lifted, she will walk to the nearby school, resume work, and then while the children is at school, she can take up a part-time job and stuff. Yeah. So I think she's quite a strong lady. It's just that sometimes some bad things happen to her. She's also a Christian. She told me she believes in God. This last line here, I just quote from her: God always has a purpose for me. I believe there is light at the end. And then I reciprocate by sharing one of those words that inspired me from Master Cheng. I told this Marvita that don't always pray for the the well-being of life. Sometimes we have to pray for the strength, the strength to go through the toughest obstacle in life. I think that's quite beautiful from Master Chen Yang. Then I just hope that this can give her some strength to go through the toughest of time. Because all this while I didn't even see her in person. It's more like an offline phone call interview work. And then hopefully when Sister SisLaySim got the chance to see this single mother, then she could even more energize up this POC. So I think in summary, the life of refugees is like a roller coaster, up and down. Just when we thought her case is resolved, but then bad things happen again. So we have to always be vigilant. Things can happen, and we have to always come in and help the refugees. That's all for my sharing today.
And Brother Dave, SisLaySim for the wonderful sharing. Okay, apology because Brother Joe, he has to leave. He apologized. He has many meetings lining up. I think from morning until quite late in the day. So we are very grateful to Brother Joe for still making up for us, even though he's so packed. His schedule is very packed, and he wished to extend his deepest gratitude to the group for giving him Dharma nourishment. I think Brother Joe is very humble. We are very grateful to have Brother Joe to guide us in the morning. Our Singapore team very感恩 to have all of you, brother leading by Brother Andrew, Sister Beng Hui, and Brother Xiaoping. Words can't describe the deepest gratitude at heart for all this wisdom sharing. Indeed, like Brother Xiaoping said, the world needs Buddha Dharma, our master's teaching. And Tzu Chi, each of everyone, all the brothers and sisters, your contributions during this great turbulent time, it's more needed. We know COVID is scary. This the present wave that is coming seems like worse than the previous one. So all of us stay safeguard, protect ourselves. Master also very concerned of our safe being. At the same time, we also constantly keep our minds purified by all these Dharma session, and those with affinity that can come out and help others, seizing the opportunity. And this like Sister SisLaySim said, the words from Dr. Sazali, kindness is something that we cannot give away. It will come back a way or two, sooner or later. How感恩 everyone for seizing your time. And before I pass over to, today we have Sister Tzu Chi before I pass to Sister Tzu Chi, let us seize the moment to later when we join prayers with Sister Lily, to also pray for Sister Chin Yan, who is one of the original sharer, but because of certain emergency at home, the mother, so we also pray for Auntie's speedy recovery. Okay, let us pass to Sister Tzu Chi before handing over to Sister Lily for the prayers. Over to you, Sister Tzu Chi.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Let me share my slide. Okay. Okay, so this was for last week. Everybody can hear me okay?
Yeah, clear, Sister Tzu Chi.
Thank you so much. So Dr. Will Turtle was with us, yes, last week. And this is my summary of his sharing. Dr. Will spoke of health in its 5 dimensions. The first is our physical body. If we don't take care of it, that's not compassion. When we are sick, we are a burden to our family and society. And that is why we need to put our health as priority and take responsibility. The second is the body of the earth, the environment, the thing that has only recently gained a lot more attention. Third is our society's health. We cannot be healthy if our society has war and violence. Our outer world supports our inner world too. That is just common sense. Our internal measurement of health, the mind, is the 4th element. How can we be healthy if plagued by jealousy, anger, delusion, and ignorance? The 5th and final is the spiritual health, my friends. Of all the dimensions, it is one of the highest importance. The dimensions are interconnected. If you help one, you too help all others. So what is the one thing you can do that will positively affect all dimensions, you may wonder? Be vegan. Choose wholesome real foods to nourish your body. Animals do not create nutrients for us to be healthy. Choosing life and love in every meal is an act of benevolence. Acknowledging a being's love of life like us is respecting its innate intelligence. A reminder to all to persevere and to keep educating ourselves in a loving way. And the world will change. It can, it must. One person at a time, step by step, and day by day. That is it. Thank you so much for listening. Over back to you, Sister Jing.
Okay, Karen, over to Sister Lily for the prayer. Karen.
For all the wonderful sharings today. It's really heartfelt. Yeah, okay. Let us send our sincere prayers into the 10 directions. May the Sangha land be free from disaster and peace prevails in the world. Let us sing the prayer song with sincere piousness.
In my heart, I feel deep gratefulness. All my heart is filled with sincere prayer. From all corners of the world, let us join our hearts and pray for a world of harmony and peace. From my heart, I pray. May we join our hands, our hearts as one. Spread the seeds of great love, nurture wisdom evermore. Let us fill the world with hope. In my heart, I feel deep gratefulness. May all the Buddhas know my prayer. All united with one heart, let us end our hate with love. May there be no suffering hereafter.
May all minds be purified. May there be peace in the community. May there be no disaster in this world. Let us dedicate the merits that we gather today to the world. May the pandemic be may the world be free from the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, and may Sister Jing Yan's mom have speedy recovery. 感恩。
Thank you, brothers and sisters, for your presence today. Thank you for all the wonderful sharings today, be it from our Singapore